Alright, so I didn't decide to stream this. I am, I'm just going to do the video and audio, non-live, because, shit, I'm 4 in the morning doing it, so people have got to be ready at 4 in the morning to watch a stream anyway, so. This is Black Jester History Day special. I'm going to talk about something personal and important in understanding madness. In a sense. But the madness would be of presuming you understand the mind and chemically altering it, causing great harm to individuals, taking individual rights, and oops. So a rather theory of mine has emerged, and this theory is to the notion that madness is somewhat manufactured in some ways. Manufactured and created by people who force psychiatric treatment on other people. Even people who volunteer who think they might be a little mad. So there are a subsection of people. No, SSRIs can be pretty bad for people in general with normal brains. But those out there with learning disabilities, those out there with relatively abnormal brains that I guess would be considered that I don't know what the brains like mine and stuff like that that are probably more creative in many instances and just don't work like anybody else's. Now, this would probably go to some of the more popular labels people attach to people in the madness world. It would be either it usually be schizophrenia, maybe some bipolar. So what they do is they'll grab maybe 2, if you like, 2 out of 10 symptoms, let's say, they'll claim you're mad. You have schizophrenia or something like that. Now, a lot of people who get this accusation, maybe not all, but some of them, are learning disabled people. And when learning disabled people get it, I'm pretty certain that a lot of them get undue headaches and our inability to have a sort of an obstruction to expressing themselves. Because it had caused a block of their brain. More to the point, it kind of obstructs the physical, the oddly enough logical side of the brain or logical functions of the brain that allow people to basically put on paper or voice their problems. What happens, what's in their head, trying to express those unpleasant demons or machinations, credulity, whatever, and things that are normally clear thoughts just don't get out. either, they're restricted. They can't draw it out. They can't write it out. They can't speak it properly out. Just verbalize it. In a sense, with SSRIs, you sort of have a chemical form of censorship, and that's a dangerous thing. It's a fortunate thing, and it's largely state-forced. It's rarely voluntary. Well, it doesn't even matter if it's rarely voluntary. It's just that even if one is involuntarily held for treatment, it's wrong. Whether they're disabled or not. But it is a highly catastrophic thing for the learning disabled person. People with dyslexia, dysgraphia, and all those DYS instances. People like me. I've had dyslexia and so on. And because they couldn't take me to the judge after busting my leg, I got forced into institution. Well, not institution, ward, mental ward and stuff like that. And fed drugs before they even checked me out. And yes, I have learning disabilities of dyslexia, dysgraphia, dyspraxia. Name the dis, I have it. It's a little lulled. It was a little lulled for a while, but then it seemed to get worse after I was force-fed that garbage. Particularly the dyspraxic factor. The expression is more difficult, but I did conquer a lot of it early on because I started noticing the effect. It actually caused my brain severe pain when I tried to draw something, which was I successfully managed to draw a couple of things, despite that, fighting it. But a lot of things still remain much worse because of this. That's the government at work, always making things worse for individuals. Now, I wouldn't say it's just psychiatry or big pharma alone, because government has a big part in that. Government enforces these things. Government wants these things. Government's the biggest customer of SSRIs and things like that. Nature. Now, I have pretty good support groups as far as family goes and stuff like that, and I grew up quite aware of my my learning disabilities. So, my relationship, my brain was better than most, and I barely hang on to. I'm a lot worse with recording creative things than I was before. Well, I'm saying that it even affects motivation to some degree. Probably to a higher degree than I even let on. But when I think of people, I always see people touching their heads and trying to. Usually, these people who seem mad, they have a hard time communicating. And it means that some of these worse people, they don't only not have a support group. These people who are worse off and end up getting violent. Now, it's not an excuse, it's just reasoning. Explaining how these things can happen. The drugs are well, it angers people. When you're learning about the inability to express your feelings and your creativity and all those things, it gets frustrating, incredibly frustrating. And you don't stop really coming up with stuff and thinking things and theorizing and all those other things. But you've got limited amounts to nowhere, no way, or limited ability to no ability to put it out there. And if you fought your way out of it a lot of the time, and then you get drugged and you get sent back into it, or if you're a kid, some people are kids and they're drugged because they have learning disabilities and they're treated like nutcases. And that was a big problem too. The worst people you can give mind-altering drugs are people who have oddly functioning brains, like people learning disabled on some sort of spectrum, things like that. And what you manufacture a certain violent madness. Well, at worst, violent. At best, maybe manipulative, maybe just yelling a lot at screens and TVs and reacting unusually angry at, I don't know, glitches and bugs and the fucking computers when they automatically turn off or reset for some reason. Why don't they fix Windows, really? Why don't they fix Windows? I'll lash out temperamentally a lot of the time for so it is a sort of partial trapped in the head problem. I don't know what the solution is, but I certainly know what the problem is. And whatever damage this is, is related to the motor cortex, and if only we could find people who would look into this and find solutions to this, it would be much better. But that's an important point. It's an infuriating problem. It's an infuriating problem. It's infuriating when people are out there playing with the mind, not understanding it, not understanding the diversity of mentality. I know neurodiversity is an annoying term for some people, but it's probably one of the better ones. The only problem is too many people claim it. People who don't even understand it. And that is largely the problem. People who actually have it don't want to claim it that much because it's unpleasant and it's not fun. I mean, it'd be easier to have a regular functioning mind that reacts to things normally. But anyway, they feed these poisons to people, and it basically, whatever effect they wanted for mental illness, they ruin it, make worse for mental disability, learning disability, mental disability, whatever. It's stress does not help much. I'm not unsure it hasn't caused light sensitivities either, because that came about too after those things. It's a problem with this. It's a huge problem, and I recommend checking out mindfreedom.com. Because if you want to look at any organization that are best suited for this stuff, it would be that to avoid these problems. Because they're not affiliated with any culty religious groups and stuff like that. They're a more secular type thing. But I don't know what else to say. It's sad. It's sad. It's sad that they are fitting to cause this. I'm not specifically saying this refers to anything happening now. Or then, or any time period. No particular event. I'm just talking about what can happen as a result of these medications. And I will say I'm not a doctor, which is a good thing, because if I were a psychiatrist, I'd be trying to peddle this shit, trying to help Big Pharma. And, well, if I was a state psychiatrist anyway, I mean, there are psychiatrists who still believe in the good old-fashioned talk therapy in the private sphere. Yeah, private psychiatrists are different. They're less wild beast psychiatrists than the people in state hospitals or government hospitals that you're forced to see, basically, or even have to see over financial reasons. Well, I mean, I'm not sure you have to. So, yeah. This is the challenge. Gotta consider this. Sort of somewhat relates to my discussion on hyperspadias and how that could also relate to certain aggressions and stuff like that, and psychotic reactions when people are strained or having a mixture of the two. Who knows? But this is largely, I'm making this more about learning disabilities. I had a hypospadias last week, and I practically passed out doing it because I find that even more stressful. And I wish I had to bring these things up, but it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that they use these poisons, and they use these poisons specific, and they make stupid assumptions about knowing the brain needs and stuff like that. I mean, we create brain chemicals all the time. I don't think we stop creating them. Maybe we stop temporarily at times, but the idea that artificially growing such things is helpful is ridiculous. And I only hope something better comes out of this stuff. About me talking about this stuff. Things like that. I hate to think I'm not passing on any information that doesn't travel out throughout the way, but yeah, it's I don't know if there's anything else I really need to discuss about this, but another problem is I always think they're going to forget something and end up don't, but sometimes you do. I Jesus. I don't know what to say, man. Got to, uh, got to, it's gotta stop. It's gotta stop. Don't let psychiatrists give your dyslexic kids drugs, dysgraphic kids drugs, whatever. Don't take them as adults. If you've got learning disabilities, try to explain it to them. Maybe some of them have a soul, even in a government hospital. They never ask. Yeah. Chances of them asking if you got learning disabilities is unlikely. Usually that's a domain of psychologists. Well, I'll just stop this now. Have a happy Black Jester History Day. And my name's Glukbudai, the Black Jester. And I'm ending the podcast now. Or check out itemshop.org. And try to buy something if you can.